Many know about slavery, but few discuss paper genocide. We did not all come from Africa, and most of us have Aboriginal roots that were stripped away due to reclassification and miseducation. As a native Black American and a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, I understand the importance of tracing your lineage. If you want to learn how to trace your genealogy and apply for tribal citizenship, go to nativeblackancestry.com to schedule a consultation.
They don't want you to remember this. You not no slave, you indigenous. Fuck how they painted them Indians. You went to war with the French and the British, man. Quite frankly, you was kings, Merovingians. They took the women and men, made them prisoners, raised up the children to worship their images, set up a lab to the genes and they mixed them, and this shit get way deeper than your pigment.
So then I'm confused. How do Africans get here?
So you're leading with the presumption that if there are Black indigenous people here, that at some point in time they migrated from Africa? Is that the assumption you're making?
Yeah, I mean, I'd always heard that people crossed over a land bridge from Asia.
Yeah, that's called the Bering Strait land bridge, Bering Strait migration pattern. Yeah, exactly. And take it a bit further for us. What exactly did you hear, or what exactly were you taught? They came across the Bering Land Strait, and then they went where?
Well, I believe that the North Asians ended up being the Mayans. And were they originally more in the island areas surrounding South America? I'm not really sure.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking you to educate us on what you were taught. You said that you're confused because, I'm saying that I found no evidence to suggest that the Olmecs are African. So you're like, well, if they're not African, where did they come from? Because I was taught about the Bering Strait migration pattern, and I'm just asking you, do you remember? And it's probably years ago that you were taught this, but do you remember like where your teacher or where your professor said that these Bering Strait Asiatic migrants went in the Americas?
I can't my brain wants to tell me it was South America.
So your brain wants to tell you that it was South America. So they came from Asia across the Bering Strait, and they go to South America, and that's it?
And eventually migrate north, I guess.
Well, I don't know how they would eventually migrate north if they came from the north. The Bering Strait is north. That's like Alaska, northern Canada. So they're already in the north, and you're claiming they went from North America down to South America, and then you said like they became the Maya or something?
Yeah, that's what I was taught. I was taught that there were Asian people that came from northern Asia that ended up being the Mayans, and that later Eastern Asians migrated in a second migration.
Yeah. I'm not sure who taught you that, but that is so twisted and backwards. The Bering Strait migrants came down, and they went to the southwestern plains, the desert of Arizona, Utah, Nevada, etc. Some of them went further down into like northern Mexico, but the Bering Strait immigrants have nothing to do with the Maya. The Maya descend from the Olmec. The Olmec are the grandfather of the Maya. When you talk about really old indigenous communities that descend from the Bering Strait migrants, that's where we talk about the Aztecs, but not the Maya, not the Olmec. The Aztec, in their own oral tradition, have a story of migrating from somewhere else, which means they weren't really indigenous to that area, right? So, you're really conflating multiple histories and conflating different theories, and it's not even you that's conflating it. It's just whoever educated you on the subject just clearly didn't know what they were talking about.
So is that why the Aztecs did not build the same kind of buildings that the Mayans were capable of?
That's part of it. When you look at the pyramid culture, the mound building civilization, you find the same pyramids, the same structures in the Southeast, in Louisiana, in Alabama, in Georgia, in Florida. The same ones that the Maya and the Olmec built in Central America, South America, the Amazon rainforest. Matter of fact, they found a Mayan step pyramid in Florida, but they're never going to teach you that in school, right?
That's extremely interesting, man. I'm really enjoying your show. I'm going to keep listening, man, so that I get more educated on the subject, because I feel like everything I learned in school is maybe bullcrap. Sorry for the language, but
Well, Well, not only is it bullcrap, but it was given to you for a purpose. I'm assuming that you have European ancestry, right?
Yes, mostly Irish as far as I know.
Okay, Irish. So we can be even more specific with the example. When the Irish came over, they were regarded as dogs. They were regarded as less than. They were the deplorable caste of Europeans. The Irish did not get adopted into the white American culture until they took on a spirit of white supremacy, until they began to oppress the indigenous black population, until they joined the police force and showed that they were good old boys who could go along and get along. So I'm saying all that to say you're taught that version of history because that is what serves you, your ancestors, and your future generations. If you descend from imperialistic individuals that came here, conquered, colonized, subverted, massacred the indigenous population, then guess what? You need to be taught that your forefathers were heroes. They were founding fathers. They came here as meek pilgrims. They were good to the Indians. The Indians signed away some land, and now we got the US, and those black folks come from Africa. You're not supposed to know the truth about the indigenous black people of the Americas. You're not supposed to know about the vast culture and civilization and the seafaring and the pyramid culture. You're not supposed to know that because if you knew that, then maybe you wouldn't go along with the programming. And I'm not saying that you're like some neo-Nazi, white supremacist, alt-right individual.
I'm so glad that, you know what I'm saying, I even, you know what I mean, experienced this. I'm glad I experienced you from, you know what I mean, enlighten me from the internet to, you know what I mean, online, getting one-on-one in depth, giving me a lot of information that I can take back to my people as well. And hopefully we could both get everything meshing with everything with the lineage and everything with the genealogy. This is no scam. This is all real. This is a real homeboy that put it down. He mean what he say. He got receipts and he put it down. He stands on business. Straight up. One love.